Well, thank you again for joining us for the next episode of the HR and CQ show. We are again going to welcome some guests on today's show. We have with us Carmen, Rendy and Alex Stanchu from Divergent Line HR Consultants. So welcome both of you and thank you for joining us today. Why are you on our show? What do you want to tell our audiences a little bit more about the both of you? What your background is, and we'll move on from there.
Perfect. So firstly, thank you so much for having us. We are really excited to join you. We usually look at your podcast, so we know what's the story behind it and the message that you want to send out there. So we are really happy for the opportunity to be here. So my name is Carmen Rendy. Actually, I'm one of the co-founders of the Divergent Line. I've been here in the region for the last 23 years, actually quite a long time. I've been doing quite a lot of roles in the aviation industry. So the journey of 20 years took me through a lot of different areas, from operation to strategic projects, transformation, change management, everything that had to do with the people function. So I had quite a lot of exposure to the region workforce. I actually teach as adjunct faculty at Middlesex University, Dubai, where I help facilitate CIPD qualification, level 3, to just help and contribute to the future HR professionals. And today we just want to share with you a little bit of our story and why we moved from the corporate to entrepreneurship and what we're currently working on.
Fantastic. So over to you, Alex.
Ladies, thank you for having us. My name is Alex, co-founder and managing director of Divergent Line HR Consultants. What can I say? I've been in the region for 11 years now, and I've been with Carmen. We know each other for 8 or 9, I think, almost 1 decade since we know each other. I came here in 2014 and I joined one of the big carriers. I joined the airline industry, the big carriers of the UAE. Not going to say names, but it was a very nice time. How can I say? I learned a lot when it comes to the aviation sector, when it comes to punctuality, to SOPs, to respecting standards, to following procedures, and so on. And then I made the switch to performance management. In parallel, I also finished the London Business School Executive Leadership program through the ADQ Game Changer. So last year, we thought it's about time, with the experience we gathered and the whole package that we're looking at, to kind of make the move and start something on our own.
Okay.
So come on then, tell us, what is it? What have you started?
A lot of trouble.
Good trouble.
And that's why you're one of our guests.
So, please, Carmen.
So a lot of people ask me, why would you leave a place where you built an entire career and you've been there for 20 years? And what made you change to something so drastically, leave all this corporate world and just go and venture on your own out there and see what you have to do? It was a really scary decision, to be honest. It took quite a lot of time to think and to make that transition, right? But I felt the decision came naturally. I felt I was overgrowing my little cubicles. I was constrained by a lot of bureaucracy. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to come up with some practical solution, some innovation, which sometimes in the corporate world is quite difficult to achieve. And there's quite a lot of challenges. And I felt I wanted to go out there and see how can I put all these 20 years of experience, all the academic qualifications I have, into a better work to support the HR community, to give back all what I learned in the last 20 years. So this is when me and Alex decided that it's time to go out there. We worked for almost 10 years together. We work in performance management, especially. And we saw this area being quite a hit and miss in most of the organization, most of the people, our colleagues that we talk about in HR. And it's always an area where people either feel very confident that they know the frameworks and the theories behind performance management, but not necessarily when it came into practice. So this was an area that we said, okay, this is what we want to do, and let's put something into place which we can bring in as a product.
And as Carmen was saying, we are really creative people. So we said, okay, the job was amazing. To have a life in the organization is a great thing. It teaches you a lot of things. But when you have that growing eagerness to do something for yourself, to put the stamp of your name on it, and when we looked at what we know, what we're doing, what we're good at, and the gap on the market, it was a no-brainer. We said we need to try it. If we don't try it now, and we might never try it again, and that's going to be a regret we're never going to be able to fix. This way, worst case scenario, what could happen? I mean,
You're still young enough to step back into corporate if you need to.
this is what my wife reminds me every time. If it doesn't work out, go back to corporate.
So in terms of Divergent Line HR Consultancy, what is your products and service, and how does it kind of tackle some of the challenges that HR professionals are facing in the workplace?
That is a great question, because we've seen performance management do its part. If done right, it can bring a lot of benefits to the company. And I'm not talking about only to the benefits that we see at the surface. It's also a source of revenue for the companies as long as you do it right. So what we propose, yes, we're an HR consultancy company. We don't stand away from any kind of HR related activities, but our main focuses are performance management, rewards and recognition, and employee engagement. Because the way we see it, it's a full cycle. And if we do it right, and if we connect the dots, especially in today's current market, where you have employees switching jobs even for small amounts of money, where salaries all over the world are maybe not as competitive as the prices and the cost going up, skyrocketing, and so on. Having a proper performance management connected with a proper rewards and recognition system can actually lessen that gap that many organizations feel when people leave for better salaries. So that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think from my experience in HR, it's one of the more challenging areas to get people to do performance management. Either to set it up and to structure it, and then when you've structured it, actually getting them to follow it and apply it and have the conversations with people about good, bad or ugly, and rocking up at my door and going, we need to fire this person because their performance. Okay, where's the last performance review? And you didn't mention this 6 months ago, and why is it all of a sudden you've just woken up? So I know, like, talk us through some of the key points from your products that would be, the sort of selling points for it that makes it different.
So just to pick up on what you said, Sarah, to be honest, the product was built and was born out of this frustration, right? Yeah. Where we saw line managers struggling to gather data, HR to work from Excel sheets, tick exercises, boxes at the end of the year, to struggle to come up with the bottom line with 3 different ratings, to see how people are put in the right boxes, follow the bell curve, and all of that. So looking at all what we have experienced, we said, I'm sure things can be better, right? So we have built in a product called Red. It comes from Reward, Engage, and Develop. It looks as a full cycle from performance management through recognition and rewards, a full cycle into the product itself. And it looks as really measurable KPIs. It's not rocket science how we come up with this. We looked at the CEO balance scorecard, and of course we looked at the cascaded objective and KPIs, but sometimes in the area that we worked with unskilled or the blue collar workers that where you speak about KPIs, they don't really understand what's that. How do you translate that into something that changes their mindset to understand they contribute to the business, but in a very understandable way without using all this HR terminology to make that shift. So at the beginning, when we did this proof of concept of the application, actually in the previous organization where we worked, if you would have asked a baggage loader that would work on the ramp, on the aircraft, what is your job? They would say, I have to come to work and load the luggage, and at the end of the day, I go back. Once we started explaining to their own language what that meant, and we see the shift after 3 years using this similar product, They used to say, I have to come on time. I have to wear my safety shoes. I have to load 10 luggage an hour for every single flight. I need to leave on time. So their KPIs become understandable contribution towards the business success. So not only to look at the rewards part, what's in it for me, but to actually understand how they need to contribute.
But we actually had an aha moment, because there was a moment we were doing the regular rewards and the recognitions and certificates back in the day. And one time and I probably we need to give a share of our company to this staff, because he gave us the idea of the concept. We gave him a certificate, right? And it was a certificate of acknowledgement of his hard work. And he came and he said, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Do you think they accept it at my supermarket? And that was actually a very good idea. I mean, yes, it's a certificate. Yes, it's amazing. But is it relevant to that person? So we had this aha moment, and then we figured out how to connect all the dots and make it relevant to the employee. As Carmen was saying, it needs to make sense to the employee. Otherwise, you're not going to have buy-in of performance. And yes, as you said, performance management, very difficult, and it doesn't have a lot of buy-in, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you get it right, it's fun, and it's fun for us to do it. It should be fun for the employees to get a hold of it. And the best thing about performance is that it's fair and it's based on data.
Yeah.
So everything that we're doing through Red is based on data, unbiased approach to performance, to rewards and recognition. We allow people to recognize each other through the features of the application as well. So we're trying to tick all the boxes, but not just tick them, to make them work.
I mean, I remember cases in companies I've worked in previously where it got round to performance management time, and the unit manager would, not a current client, not a recent client, a long time back, just before anybody starts digging to find out who, but they would literally take the performance management paper, they would have 2 copies, they would fill in the responses, 1 good, 1 bad, because the good one got the 5% increase on salary annually and the bad one didn't. They'd photocopy those 2 according to the number of staff that they had, and then fill the names in afterwards.
Yeah.
And my response to my boss when I got all of these back was, I didn't know we employed clones.
That's a good one.
And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, they can't all be identical, can they? No, but this is the easiest way, and it's just for this. I'm like, yeah, but it's a pointless exercise.
That's the problem. That's the easiest way.
Waste our time with it. If this is what is the outcome, and they just couldn't get their head around doing anything differently.
The whole purpose around Red and what we're trying to do around performance management is exactly to address these issues. First of all, visibility. It's like in football, for any kind of football fans or any kind of sport fans, if throughout the season you do not know where your team sits in the hierarchy, how do you know if you need to push a little bit further, or you're right? Or for example, why do you need end of the year appraisal? Why can't you have visibility on a dynamic appraisal system? And these are part of the things we're trying to solve with Red, because we always wondered, why are we doing things in such a way only because it's easy or everybody does it? That doesn't just sit well with us.
And just because things have been done this way doesn't mean that's the right way and the only way. It just means that we're habituating it and therefore lose interest, and therefore it becomes a pointless, worthless exercise. But I think you're going back to your point with your aha moment and your aha gentleman, and whether that certificate is valued or not. That really, a lot of what you're doing links in really closely with Emma's CQ, because this is understanding that cultural behaviour and awareness of what that person wants. If I've got that correct.
The personalized rewards.
The aha moment with the certificate, that fits into understanding what somebody's cultural culture is, and your cultural intelligence element.
Yeah, so I think it's really important.
Carry on.
So I think it's really important to, when we are thinking about somebody's performance management, also factoring in things like, what are the privileges that are enabled to me that maybe aren't enabled to my team. Something like giving somebody certificates, great, but actually there's just some basic needs that some people have that aren't met, that maybe I as the manager have had and are met for me. So something like, supermarket vouchers or whatever it was that he was alluding to with his point about being in the supermarket.
This is the whole point about Red, because you can make that marketplace, the marketplace that you have on the app, for yourself. Do you want to buy a day off? I'm working hard for 2 or 3 months. I can buy a day off with my coins, with my virtual coins. Do I want, I don't know, maybe a supermarket voucher? Do I
So
want...
just before we get into this, can you just run back for our listeners? Because some of them will maybe be familiar with it, but a lot of people won't understand the concepts on it. So can you just give us a brief, like,
Introduction to
Red. Like, how does it work? Because you're referencing coins and things there.
You're right.
I've seen
we need to
so
go
I
back.
know.
We need to go
rewind
back.
a couple
So
of
what the
steps.
system does, as Carmen was saying, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes I talk too much. I know. I'm trying to fix it. My wife is telling me all the time. So what the system does, we didn't reinvent the wheel. We're just making things a little bit more clear and we connect them. So what we do, we take existing KPIs that companies have, or we support the companies in creating new KPIs. We feed these KPIs to the systems, to the algorithms that we pre-program. Now, the system identifies if you completed your KPI properly and you're within this threshold, let's say, of this KPI, you get this number of internal coins. These coins, then you can use at the end of the month, let's say, to redeem different rewards that you have in the menu. So the menu can be anything that the organization can put upfront. They can put maybe branded items. They can put days off. The idea is to have it relevant for the employee, as we mentioned before, so there is a buy-in from the employee population. If you are a blue-collar employee, maybe you're not interested in having dinner with the CEO. That's all I want to say. Maybe you have other priorities that maybe the company should look in to support you, to satisfy them, especially if you're a good performer. And also the system has a function of being able to recognize peers. So for example, if I work with Carmen, I can send her a Bravo. And the Bravo doesn't just come with a nice message thanking her for what she's done, but it also comes with coins out of my own balance. So it has a different weight. So everything has a different weight. When something comes with when a gift comes with something, it has a different weight. So this is basically Red in a nutshell.
This is especially from the employee point of view, but what I'm most excited about this app is that I always dreamt when I was working in HR to have a screen where I see all the KPIs live all the time on attendance, productivity, costs, how many people leaving, coming, and it was always such a hard task to get one screen that I look at all the time and I know what's happening. So we had now the opportunity to learn from that and say, okay, this is the app that is now available on App Store and Google Play for the employee, but for the management view, my dream has come true. There is a dashboard that you can say per employee, per team, per KPI, how many coins you are accruing, how many they are being spent, what do you have in your marketplace. You can extract directly in a PowerPoint for your monthly meetings with your leadership, how you're doing in terms of all the people KPIs that you are tracking. You can search for a single employee and extract in graphs, in KPIs, in different measurements, a single employee data through the dashboard, something that I always dreamt to have. Because all our HR systems, sometimes I find out that we work for them instead of them working for us, and always struggle to get some of the data that I need, either from several departments, several systems, and now we managed to put everything that you feed in, it comes out through a dashboard. So that's...
We like to say this system is made by HR for HR. So
well, that's important, though. I have this bugbear myself about other HR systems, that they're either made by people who are really great communicators and IT designers or finance, and never by HR, which is why a lot of the HR tools don't work, like the HRIS systems. They either look really great and don't provide the information, or they look really bad and are too much like a glorified spreadsheet.
True.
And
as an HR professional, you don't need to become an IT professional to be able to manage that system, which is again...
Yeah, which is a whole nother mess of things, but yeah.
But I like what you're saying there. I can just imagine being in the HR office, being able to see what's going on, as you've said. But even from a perspective of, you know, as a HR team, you're sometimes, well, I remember always being told that we were in the ivory tower. How do we know what's going on in the operational business? But you've then all of a sudden got a lot more visibility of even something like, you know, which department is... Where are we seeing great performance, and what's causing that? Like we learn, or we know about this. The four of us would probably already know this, but we were discussing today in the summit how, you know, it can be your manager that makes or breaks whether you want to stay with an organization, and those people that are leaving. are costing obviously the company a lot of money if we're having to replace them and stuff. So I think it's helpful probably as a HR function to have sight of which team has a really high performing team. That must potentially mean we've got a really good manager overseeing that team. And okay, what are they doing? What does good look like? How can we then take that model and apply it across the rest of the business?
Right.
What we've seen, and it's very interesting, is based on data, the stars that you're used to, the star employees, are not necessarily the best employees. And once you have the data, you start to recognize some very interesting patterns, because those quiet employees that go above and beyond, you don't know about them that much, but they at one point leave the business, and then you wonder, but what's wrong? Why are we so productive? We just only 2 people left or 3 people left. Well, guess what? They were actually your star employees, but you need to have the data to see that.
To be honest, we didn't build this application to replace any of the HR function. It's really to amplify what we can do with this power of data and insights. Not having a dashboard just for the sake of having a dashboard, but to tell you some real life story that are happening behind that data. And we use this tool literally as a tool. So we don't take away the creativity or the innovation of the HR people, but rather give them a tool. And now you can go to the dashboard and you say, give me the top 5 employees that I want to do the quarter employees or the employees of the month. And the data will give me, instead to be biased and chase every manager, can I have an employee from your department to give them an employee of the month? You go to the dashboard and you get top employees, top department, or any other insights that you want. And all the data that can help you take better decisions when it comes to people. How much money you want to spend in terms of rewards and recognition, and what does that do in terms of your attrition, your turnover, retention. You can see all that from the dashboard.
Yeah, and I can imagine, because one of the things that, and we touched on a little bit today, earlier at the summit, was about the value of HR in the business. And it's really difficult to demonstrate, because, I mean, with AI happening and everybody talking about, okay, we don't need HR anymore because we've got all of these things and, anyways. But it's really difficult often to put a value on HR because we are one of the biggest cost centers. We don't generate revenue, so people don't listen to us directly. Anyways, we don't sell more cars or anything like this. But I'm guessing that you've seen with the output from your systems that actually you can put a number to and a value to what HR does, and just this little segment of it, in that it's producing the data to drive, okay, this department's put sales up and they're super happy and they're, these are their statistics. Have you got examples of this?
That if you have the data, that difference, it's not so small after all. If we manage, and we've managed, and we've seen it work, if we managed only a little bit to reduce the turnover, if we managed a little bit to reduce the sickness, which again, sickness is everybody's right. You're sick, you call in sick, fair enough. But let's be honest, many of us, many of us are calling sick even when they don't have to. And that costs a lot of money.
He works for himself now, it doesn't matter.
Well, Carmen used to be my manager a while back, so she has some stories. So only by reducing a little bit these values, these metrics, and you can save a lot of money. So HR, yes, can make money. Maybe not direct, but we're a source of revenue if you're used to.
It's a source of revenue by saving money. That's the way of looking at it, but it's not a direct source of revenue. I mean, I used to joke in companies long time back about, replacing people's name badges. You have to pay 25 dirhams, but Sarah, it only costs 2. I'm making money. Go away now. But encouraging the team not to lose them as well. Because, but it's I've always pushed to look at those metrics myself manually. And I know with my first HR role that I ever had, that was one of my big successes. In 3 years, I went from a turnover of staff from over 100% down to 7%. In 3 years, because of just applying basic HR principles, not rocket science. And this was back in the day before we had IT
apps and stuff
and anything close to what we've got at the moment. And so that's just basic hard graft HR. So having apps to support can only make it better.
Yeah, the app for us is more or less like the package that puts everything, as Carmen was saying, we're not restricting, and it's not one size fits all, an app that everybody will use the same. It's just the thing that wraps nicely the gift of taking the proper performance management actions, and we just made it work. The app itself doesn't do wonders. The people and the processes behind it do.
Yeah, they make it, but it needs to be an app that, having that app, and it makes it usable, makes it, 'cause
Helpful.
everybody's got a performance process. Like most companies got a performance process. Most companies have got PDP plans or KPIs or whatever you want to call them, in terms of a document that you sit with somebody and go, right, so how have we done this year?
But this is amazing. As much as we talk about AI and we all love AI, and then we go back to our sheet of paper and then we do the annual appraisals, and it's just killing us inside.
How would you, and this is, how would you recommend an HR professional to pitch this product to their senior leadership team to get that buy-in? Because that's something that I find difficult, and I speak personally with technology that I am trying to propose to companies that I can go, I think you need this. And yes, there's the financial, but how would you propose it be pitched? I'm putting you on the spot, sorry.
It's a tough question. That's for Carmen.
But thank you. To be honest, we've met in the last 2-3 months quite a lot of organization, and especially the HR teams, where we had to pitch to them directly to show them the benefits of having such a tool that could help you in your role. And no matter how much we are, like you were saying earlier, talk about the AI and the future of HR, it's in technology and digitalization, while in the front we all say this course, which is amazing, but in the back, and when we get to the deeper conversation, everybody's afraid to do that step. They are comfortable with the Excel, with the old style legacy systems. They feel okay in there. They know they need to put in the extra work. And unless we really speak the same language, and I tell you really the benefits of, look, you don't have to go to 5 different departments or 10 Excels to gather the performance data at the end of the year for your performance ratings. You can just open one screen that will give you this. Imagine how much time this will save you to do other things that you have to do instead of working for the system to let the system work for you. I guess it's just to answer your question, Sarah, just to find a way for the HR to believe that there is some support through technology, to not be afraid to try something new, right? Because otherwise you find yourself doing the same thing for the same people, for the same company for many, many years without a different outcome, right? Try, go out of the open space. And what we are proposing is not selling your product and letting you be. We want to be part of that process, to support the HR, to say, we've done this for the last 3 years, we've seen it work, allow us to support you from the back to pitch this and see what you can do.
After launching the company and having so many presentations and so on, we can see one thing: HR comes in a lot of shapes and sizes, but we're all united by the same challenges.
This is true. This is very true. Well, I think that's about all that we've got time for today. So again, thank you both for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
We're really, really super happy to have you with us, and hopefully in time we can have you back with some more success stories and developments on it.
Thank you
once
so
again, and yes, we'll see you at the next event, I'm sure.